Okay. So, well, thank you for taking some time to join Drinking Water's Lead and Copper Unit's lead service line inventory training. Um, uh, let's see, housekeeping rules here. Please use the Q&A function, not the chat. If there's time at the end, we will be taking questions live. Raise your hand and we'll call on you. Please remain muted to avoid background noise, and please stay for the whole presentation if possible. So first question that comes up is who needs to submit an inventory? So a lead service line inventory is required as part of the US EPA's lead and copper rule revisions. All community and non-transient, non-community water systems are required to submit an inventory. There's approximately 4,300 of them in California. The due date is October 16th, 2024. That's in about 70-ish, something days from now. There is no extension to this date. If you have any questions, we ask you to email us at that email address, and I will provide a copy of the slides to the participants after the meeting. Please include your water system number in the subject line and all communications. It just makes it easier to direct within the unit. And you can still request lead service line inventory assistance at this website here. It's a form you fill out, and they will review it, and the funding is very close to happening, is what I've been told, for technical assistance. So you're welcome to go ahead and request that. So these are the kind of the service connection sizes of the water systems we have, and a large majority of them have 50 or less. So I'm going to talk to those first. So I hope that we have a number of you on the call. So about half of all community and non-transient, non-community systems have less than 50 connections, which makes it fairly easy to investigate all unknown service lines. And you probably do not need an inventory plan for an alternative verification method. So there's been emails that have been coming out from the unit, and they talk about how to do an inventory plan and that kind of thing. If you are going to investigate all lines, you do not need to do a plan. If you know the material of all of your lines, you do not need to do an inventory plan. So we're just going to do the inventory. Every service line must be reported on both the system and the customer side. It's regardless of your water system size. Each service line needs a unique identifier. So you need an address, and a lot of water systems are using a meter number. But in these cases, if you have less than 50, you may not have meters. So you would have to use some other identifier like building number 1, manufacturing building, tasting room, processing shed, something like that, just so that each line is uniquely identified. Buildings may have a shutoff valve in place of a meter. So if you have that situation, use the meter or the valve as a proxy. So you would say you would identify the materials up to that valve, and then what's on the other side. So use it like you would expect to use a meter. If the entire system is owned and operated by the water system, you still need to complete the system and the customer side of the template. And likely it's the same information on both the system and the customer side. So the first step is to determine your service lines with known materials. So here's where you review building records, water system replacement records, distribution line records, whatever. You're going to enter a narrative of the types of records and how they were used in the inventory template or in the portal, either one, on tab 2. And we'll go over the portal in detail a little later on. And the template, sorry, the template is available on our website. No, I'll go into all that a little later. You're going to use this information to enter information for your service lines. Always enter the actual material if known. So if you know it's copper plastic, PVC, galvanized, whatever it is, enter that material. If a service line is greater than 4 inches, it can be entered as non-lead other, but you must give us the service line size, the diameter of the pipe, and your basis for determination there will be the service line is 4 inches or greater. Again, when I show you the template, I'll show you these drop downs so it makes sense. If a service line was installed after January 1st of 1986, it can be entered as non-lead other as well, because that was after the California lead ban. So you need to give us the year that the home was built, the building was built, the service line was installed, whatever. And the basis for determination of that is going to be the installation date is after the state or local lead ban.
Hi, Wes.
Yeah.
This is Allison, if I can interrupt. It seems the screen is flashing a little bit,
Oh,
in terms of like the text being a little bit unreadable at some points of the time.
okay. Well, let me stop sharing and share it again. Maybe that will help. I don't know. So we'll try this.
Oh, it's much better now.
Oh, okay. Thanks for letting me know. Appreciate that. Okay, so I'll go back to the previous slide. Sorry about that. I mean, I read a lot of it, but just so you can see. So here, service line greater than 4 inches and installed after 1986, you can use these basis for determination. And slide still okay?
Yes.
Okay, thank you. So after you determine your known service lines, this will leave you with unknown material. Smaller water systems may not have any unknowns, and you can simply enter your service lines on the template from the information in your records. We don't need a copy of these records, just you need to be able to have them available so that you can say this is the actual reality and be able to prove what you put on your inventory. We do encourage you to use the template available from our website, and there's a link there. So here's the general setup of a couple of different types of smaller water systems. So we have a lot of wineries in California. And the lines that need to be included are this material that goes, sometimes you have a tank and sometimes you don't, depends. But from your source, excuse me, or the tank into your distribution line, if you have that, we'd like you to include it. So call it your distribution line on both the customer, the system, and the customer side of the template. And then each connection from that distribution line up to a valve or a meter, and then whatever goes into the building. So each section of that needs to be entered. And again, this is for water systems that are this, we'll go through a few of them. This isn't necessarily a community. These are more 1 or 2 or 3 connections that there's a lot of these types of water systems. So schools and colleges, same thing. Correctional facilities, you're going to have a source. You'll see a running theme here that whatever you have a distribution line, you have connections to the distribution line, and then into the buildings. Now, in this case, there are sometimes where there is a building connected to another building, and that line is also to be included. So say you have a food service building connected to like a campus type building in a school situation. That needs to be included even though it isn't connected directly to the service, the distribution lines. Okay. Manufacturing, packing plants, service stations, gas stations, that kind of thing. Same thing. Whatever you have connecting to the building, you're going to enter these connections on both what they call the system side and the customer side of the in the template. Okay. So enter the distribution line from the tank or pressure tank if you know it. And that same information goes on the system and the customer side. Enter each line that goes from the distribution line into each building. And if a line goes from one building to another, include that line. So that's just summarizing what we just went over. In the case of a mobile home or a manufactured home community, a little bit different, but the same. So you're going to have a master meter or a source or a tank or something, and then it connects into this private community, this distribution line within the private community. And some of you are just your own water system that is just a mobile home. So in this case, you won't have the access issues, but which I talk about in just a second. But in this one, you're going to connect, you want to provide this portion that is connected to the water main. And it usually results in a stub near, on each space. So that's the system-owned portion. And then the portion from that stub that connects to the mobile home plumbing, the premise plumbing, that's what's going to be considered the customer side. So it's whatever that connection is. Whatever's in the premise that came with the mobile home, that's not part of this inventory. It's really just the connection from the water main to the stub, and then from the stub into the mobile home. Okay. So some challenges we've come up with that we've heard. The customer portion is sometimes underneath a surround or a skirt and can't be seen without removing a portion of the surround. So that I think is more common than not. Access. So when a community is connected to a water system via master meter, there's been reported access issues where the owner of the mobile home park will not allow the water system access to that information or to do inspections. So in that case, we ask you to work with the owner and manager of the community to gain access or have them provide the information for you. Here, you can consider interpolation, and I'm going to talk about that later, but it's essentially physically investigating a subset of connections and then using your findings there to interpolate the rest of them. So you look at 20, you can say the other 80 are the same based on the 20 that you investigated. We'll go into interpolation a little later, but you can consider that for a mobile home community. And if you're going to do that, you have to contact us and let us know what it is. And again, we'll talk about it in a minute. To submit your inventory, there's a portal that we've got set up online. It has a step-by-step guidance document that also has some links to some how-to videos. And you do need to register and set up multi-factor authentication in order to log in and submit your inventory. And again, if you encounter any issues, please email us. So if you have any questions or any issues with any part of this, email us and we will help you through this. The next set of systems I want to talk about are those that are under 1,500 connections. So these are communities in general. This is just a made-up water system. But what I wanted to call out are these subdivisions or tracts where a builder came in and built an entire tract of homes all at once. And these over here are not that way. These are individually built one at a time over time. So you'll see again a recurring theme here. Starting your inventory is no different. Determine your knowns, use records to do so, look for lines that are 4 inches or greater, and look for service lines installed after 1986. I'm not going to read this because it's exactly the same. But here, after determining your known service lines, you have now unknowns. So depending on your size, characteristics, and water system resources, you can use interpolation. So for this size water system, 1,500 or less, you can physically inspect 20% of the unknown service lines randomly chosen throughout the community. And yeah, so this one is about 750 connections. And I'm sorry. There. For this one, I'm not going to, do I talk about, I don't think I talk about stratified random, but for this size water system, you can use just a plain 20% interpolation across the system. But those tracts, if they're all built at the same time, and maybe you don't have the as-builts, you can propose a percentage that you think would be representative of investigating that entire tract. So maybe not a full 20%. And then the rest of the water system, you would do a 20% random sampling of the rest of them, of the remainder of the community. So propose something and we'll give it a look. And what we do want you to include are characteristics of the system and your interpolation proposal for the entire system and each tract if you have those. Like I said, we can consider a lower percentage for a tract that was all built at the same time. And it might help you lower that number of field inspections that has to be done. Tell us how you're going to do it. So there's standard magnet test, a scratch test, visual documentation, and get and record all the information about the service line since you've exposed it. So if you're going to take the time to get in the meter box, take a picture of it, store that, measure the diameter of the pipe, get the actual material, do some investigation and make notes of all of this while you've got it uncovered and visually accessible. And again, I just wanted to show you that one. So here, these tracts, we can consider a lower percentage of investigations, and then the rest of it would be just a flat 20% randomly chosen. And then you would do interpolation. Okay. The next set are larger water systems. So those between 1,500 and 10,000. So we're talking about 8.4% of the water systems in the state. So much larger, potentially have more tracts of land or more tracts of homes, but the process is the same. Get your knowns, look for 4 inches or greater, look for those built after 1986. Okay. And then here, you can use interpolation again on subdivisions with the same characteristics. So you can, you can present tell us what the characteristics are of that tract, and the percentage that you feel would be appropriate for doing physical verifications on this that would represent the entire tract. And then the rest of it, you would use stratified random sampling. So this is something new. And again, you need to submit a plan to us for review and approval before you get going on this. Here, you're going to determine the year that the service line was installed or the home was built. So my example of this one is a 6,050 service connection home or water system. 1,050 of them are built after 86, leaving 5,000 unknowns. So using this table or this calculator, you calculate a 95% confidence level and a 5% margin of error and a 50% sample proportion. So you don't have to be a statistics major to understand this. Just go to the calculator or use this table, and it'll tell you based on that many service connections, the number that you need to physically verify to reach this statistical level. So 357 are required here based on this table. While you're doing your bins, we wanted to bring up a few things. So lead was found to be used in the 1940s as a result of material shortages from World War II. So we really are asking people to do a separate group for 1940 to 1949. And lead is more likely to be found in older homes in general. So from 1939 and earlier. So we ask you, if you have the resources available, do additional verifications for those homes. So here, we have 5,000 unknowns, and to calculate that, we have 30. There are about 500 homes that have unknown build dates. So that's 10%. I started this too early. There are 10% of your homes of your 5,000 that have unknown dates. You have 400 with pre-1900, that's 8%. So you calculate the percentage of your 5,000 that represent this bin. Okay. So again, here's 1150 is 23%, 500 is 10%, 1200 is 24%. And so it's the percentage of your homes that make up your distribution system in each of these bins. To calculate that, you take 357 and multiply it by that percentage. So that gives you 36, 29, 82, and on down to where you have 357 field verifications to be done out of 5,000. Again, submit a plan to DDW. We need to review it and approve it, and we'll let you know. You need to include characteristics of your system, your interpolation proposals, and stratified random calculations. It doesn't have to be in any big format, but these are the things that we want to know. So if you can, it could even be just an email, but we do want to be able to view and see how you came up with your plan. Your field investigation procedure, let us know how you're going to do it, and the list of homes that you've chosen to be field investigated. So it should be randomly chosen. There's a way of doing it in Excel. If you quickly Google it, you basically give everybody a random number, and then you rank them and then choose how many you need. So you can Google that and find out how to do it online. I don't go into that here. You submit it to the portal, step-by-step guidance document available, and you do have to register. And lastly, we have those water systems that are 10,000 or more. I hope that I don't have any of you on the line, because you should really be underway by now. But again, start out the same, determine your knowns, and then your unknowns, you're going to use interpolation on tracts if you like to, and you're going to use stratified random as well, but the calculations are a little different. So this is a 38,500 service connection water system. So any system that's 10,000 or more, you first make your bins and then calculate the number to verify on each bin rather than as a percentage of your distribution system. And that gives you the correct number of verifications to be statistically appropriate for your water system size. So again, you can use the chart or the sample size calculator. This links directly to a calculator that does this for you. But you're going to do that again, like I said, for each group. So I'll show you here in a second. Again, lead was found in the 40s, so we want you to create a separate bin here. And now here, you can see that the number of verifications jumped up because each bin is then calculated based on this table. So for 3,800, you're going to use 4,000, which is 351 here. For 2,500, you're going to round up and use 26, use 335, and so on. Submit a plan to DDW, to that email. Again, you should include characteristics of your system, the interpolation proposal, and the calculations, how you're going to do the investigation, and your list of homes that are going to be investigated. So you can kind of see a recurring theme here. No matter the size of the water system, the steps are very much the same, but it's how you determine how many verifications you need to do. For those with 10,000 or more, it's a little different. We're gonna send you a document that says how to submit your inventory on the portal. So we'll send you those instructions. So just let us know before, like when your inventory is ready to be submitted, email us first and we'll walk you through a slightly different process. Mainly because the portal, it kind of bogs down a bit when you're dealing with bigger data sets. And so we just have to treat them a little differently is all. Public notification. So this is all water systems. If your inventory ends up containing any lead, galvanized requiring replacement or GRRs, or unknown service lines, you must notify those customers within 30 days of submitting your inventory and annually thereafter until the entire service connection is no longer lead, GRR, or unknown. So if you have unknowns when it's time to submit your inventory, over the next year, if you end up finding out what that material is, you can stop sending them notification. But as long as that service line is either lead, GRR, or unknown, you have to provide that individual customer, every individual customer that has those lines, with public notification. And we have a template on our website that you can use to fill out and provide the notice. It has all the required language and everything. You also need to provide it to any new customers at the time of service initiation. So if the home is sold, or if it's an apartment building that people move in and out of each time, they need to be notified. Annual reporting to DDW is by July 1st, that notification was done. So inventory updates, if all of your service lines have been physically verified and are non-lead, you don't need to provide us any updates unless you add to your water system. So if you've investigated everything and then you go and add additional homes or a new tract is built, then your inventory would be, it would need an update. If any alternative method was used to build your inventory, an updated inventory will be due as the actual service line materials are determined during normal operations, such as line repairs and replacements. So this was per the EPA's guidance that was given to us in April 2024. This is the updates are not required as part of the LCRR any longer, but in the draft LCRI, it is required. So since it's a draft, we can't say for certain if it's going to be a requirement or not, because it hasn't been finalized. But our recommendation is still to update your inventory during your normal operations, since the updates are likely to happen. They will be, you'll be submitting those updates to DDW. Okay, so in the future. So yeah, so and once the LCRI is finalized, we can be more definitive with this. Public accessibility, your inventory must be made available to the public, and systems serving more than 50,000 people, not connections, but people, must post your inventory online. So for water systems with no lead galvanized requiring replacement or unknowns, you may use a written statement declaring that the distribution system is free of lead, okay, instead of posting the entire inventory. So we have a bunch of templates for that as well. And it's just then a single sheet of paper that can be either provided as needed, posted in your office, whatever. But it has to be made publicly accessible. Most water systems are going to use it as an insert in their bill, or bigger water systems will do that. They also need to post it online. Okay. Now, DDW will be posting the inventory data online as it's submitted to us. So all of these 4,300 water systems, DDW will be posting that data online. But that doesn't move this requirement. You still, as a water system, have to make this publicly accessible. My final thoughts, if you have any questions at all, please contact us at this email. Our website is in here. There's a bunch of resources that I've talked about. Our templates, our public notification document, those different things are all on the website. For a more one-on-one discussion, we ask that you join one of our office hours. So we are doing those every Wednesday and Thursday. The times there, sign up at that link. The sessions are likely to have more than one water system in attendance at a time, and they are completely non-structured. You will just ask a question and we will answer it. So usually a good portion of our LCR unit is on those calls at any time, and we will answer your questions. So let me go into the template and show you that. So this is downloadable from our website, and it's what you would use to build your inventory and submit it to drinking water. So if you're using it for the portal, it makes it very easy to copy and paste. That's why we highly recommend it. Plus, it contains all the information we need, and you can continue to update it as you need to. So first page is pretty self-explanatory. A PWS ID it's public water system ID. So that's your 7-digit number. It starts with 2 digits that are your county, and then there's 5 digits afterwards. So it's a 7-digit number. So fill this out. The inventory methodology is, these are the records that you're going to review. So this is what I said, when you write a narrative, you're going to just kind of say what the record is and how you used it. So whether it's construction, water system record, or distribution record, or anything else you can get your hands on. So just kind of tell us what it is, and write a story here. Explain how you did things. How you're going to identify service line material during normal operation. So after you submit your inventory, how are you going to continue to update it? So probably water meter repair, replacement, service line repair, replacement, but whatever methods you're using. And again, it's fairly self-explanatory. Just kind of answer the questions as you get to them. Investigations, how you're going to do your investigations now. So probably visual. You may use some pipe dating if you're using that 1986 date. If you're using the pipe diameter of 4 inches or greater, put that in here. Predictive models or statistical analysis or interpolation. So those are the stratified random sampling and interpolation that I talked about. In some cases, you can use, and you can't use it alone. Let me rephrase that. Water quality sampling is not a method of identifying pipe material, but it is a way of telling a bit of a story. So if you are a little bit unsure about certain service lines or whatever, you can't use it alone, but if it helps tell your story, use your tap sampling results saying we have a non-detect across all of this. So you can go ahead and use that, but it is not allowed to be used alone without there's studies that have to be done and everything. And we have yet to receive a single one. So it's there because it's on the template, but it's not to be used alone. Okay. So that's been a common question. Can't we just use our tap sampling to say that we have no lead? And the answer is no, you cannot. Okay. If you are using stratified random or interpolation, add it here, how you determine that. I'm going to skip the detailed for a second and go to inventory summary. These fields will automatically calculate. It'll count the number of types of lines you have and sum it all up here. But at the top, do go ahead and tell us, this is going to be initial inventory. The ownership type. So there's several options here. It's the entire thing is owned by the water system. The entire line is owned by the customer, or ownership is split, which is common for municipalities. But in the case of the smaller water systems, it's probably entirely owned by the water system. So wineries, schools, those types of things. Generally, mobile homes, it's owned, the entire water system is, they're responsible for the entire thing. So, but if ownership is split, go ahead and make that notation here. When were lead service lines banned? If you do not have a local ordinance, like a city or a county ordinance that banned lead, you use the California 1986 ban. Do you have any lead goosenecks, pigtails, or connectors? You would answer yes, no, or I don't know. Please do answer these questions. Inventory format, you can just say the template if you're using the template. Your public accessibility, check the identifiers that you're using. Does every service line have an identifier? We'd like it to be yes, because we need to just some unique identifier for each one. Okay. And then how are you making it publicly accessible? So most are using hard copy information in the water system office, especially for smaller water systems. But remember, if you're 50,000 people or more, you have to put it online. So it would be I guess an online spreadsheet, or if you're going to post your letter in lieu of your non-lead designation letter, you can say that here. Okay. And again, if you have any questions as you move through this, feel free to email us. We are here to help you. Okay. So the detailed inventory. So this is kind of the meat and potatoes of this. So I'm going to pretend I'm a winery in this case. So 123 Main Street. City, California. Okay. So I've got an address, and at my winery, it's going to be the same address for all of my buildings. So you can copy and paste in this spreadsheet, but use the drop downs, which I'll get to in just a sec. Your unique service line ID, this is where I was saying, like, you've got the tasting room, you've got the processing room, processing shed. See if I can make this a little bigger, so I might be able to see it. That's really big. Two. Scroll now. Okay. Say you've got I don't know, another room, tasting room 2. I don't know. Offices. So what I'm asking is that just provide a name for each of these lines, so that even though you have the same address, we know that these are the different lines that are there. Okay. So the system owned portion, this is where you put in the material type. So for the sake of this one, I'm going to put in plastic. Is there a lead connector? No. Was it ever lead? No. The installation date, I'm going to say 1972. It's a 4-inch line. Now, if you're not using the date or of the lead band or the service line size greater than 4, you don't have to enter these, but if you have it, please enter it. So enter the information you do have. Basis of material classification. For this one, I'm going to say I went out and looked at it. So field inspection. So was it verified? Yes. The date. Oh, I'm sorry. This is the method. Sorry about that. So in this case, I'm going to say other because there is no meter pit, but I did go out and look at it, and I'm going to put it in the notes. And the notes are visual at valve. So if it doesn't quite match one of the drop downs, go ahead and make a note of what you did do. Just tell your story. And the customer side, since it's the same, this is at a winery, it's the same material on both sides. So plastic, 1972, and I'm just going to enter the same material on the other side of this customer side. This is what I was saying, that the spreadsheet is divided into 2 sections. There's the system owned portion and there's the customer owned portion. Okay, so my basis is field inspection. Yes. Other. And I could actually have copied and pasted this and visual applicator. Okay. And it calculated non-lead for me. Okay. So that's how you would complete this. So now I'm gonna enter one that's interpolated. So I talked a lot about interpolation. So there you're going to say, because you don't know what the actual material is, you're going to enter it as non-lead other. Is there a lead connector present? I don't know. And was it ever? I don't know. We don't have the installation date. We don't have the service line size. We're going to say that we interpolated it. No. Again, non-lead, other, interpolation. Okay. And it will also calculate as non-lead. Okay, so if you're interpolating or using this same method is for the stratified random, you would use statistical analysis instead. Okay, so those are for those statistical models. You're going to use one or the other of those. Now, say you have non-lead copper. There's no lead. Was it ever lead? I'm going to say don't know. Okay. But here I'm going to use the lead band. So the house was built in 1992. So here, I'm going to say installation date was after the state or local lead ban. So for this, you must enter the year. You've got to give us that information. Okay. And you're using, actually for this one, I'm gonna continue on with the other. So in 1992, the house was built. We don't know what it is, but we know it's not lead. So we're going to call it other, and we're going to call it after the lead ban. Okay. And then continue on the other side, non-lead other, lead ban, and it will calculate non-lead right there. So if you have one that's records review, so say you went through and you found that this tract was built with copper. So no, it was built in 1971, but you know that, but you have the records that show the as-built. So I'm going to say historical records here. So was it field verified? No. And we're going to call it non-lead copper again, because we know that material based on our records. Okay, and we get non-lead. So now I'm going to go through a galvanized. Let's say we have a galvanized lead connector present. I don't know. Was there ever a lead connector present? I don't know. It was installed in 1959. We went ahead and did a physical verification of this one. Why not? Yes. Visual inspection of the meter pit. And I'm going to say galvanized here too. Inspection. Okay. So now here, it's going to give us an error of not valid. So you see how in this field here, galvanized turned red. And the reason for that is that the EPA's definition of a lead service line is if you do not know if there's a lead connector present now or ever was in the past, that line is considered a galvanized requiring replacement because it may be considered a lead service line. So that would have to be galvanized requiring replacement. Okay. And it will calculate it over here as well. So that's really how to do the spreadsheet. What we ask is that if you're using, and one of these methods that, so if you're using the year, you got to give us the year. If you're using the line size, you have to give us the size of the line. If those are blank, we will have to reject the inventory and send it back to you for a revision. Okay, so the data that you give us here has to make sense. And that's what we're reviewing for when you do submit your inventories. We're happy to give it a test look if you want us to. Again, fill out the template, email it to us. We'll give it a look, help you guide your way through it. And like I said, we are here to help you through this. We're just trying to get you, everybody, with an inventory in. Now, that being said, if at the end of as you're getting closer to the deadline and say you have not done your inventory, that deadline of October 16th is a hard deadline and there's absolutely no give to it at all. It's better to submit an inventory with all unknowns. So still have to give us each of your service lines. You have to identify them. But it's better to give us an unknown inventory than no inventory. Because as of October 16th, that's our cutoff. And anybody that hasn't submitted one, their water system number will be sent over to the EPA, and the EPA will be doing, I guess they call them administrative. It's a violation. They're going to be issuing the violations. In talking with them, I don't have I don't have particulars. I don't know exactly what it'll look like, but they told me that it's better to get a violation from the state than from the feds. So again, if it comes down to the deadline, it's better to give us unknown than nothing. So, but an unknown inventory would still have to include all the service lines. You can't just put in one line and just say unknown. That's not acceptable, and we will reject it. And it's like you didn't submit anything at all. Okay. I guess that's all I have to say. So thank you for attending, and I will now open it up for questions. Although my co-hosts are, I believe, are going to read some of the common questions that were asked during this and that you all might benefit from. So let's go do that first.
Yeah, I will take care of reading the frequently asked questions. Can you hear me, Wes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So with the frequently asked questions that we've already answered, we only have the templates that are available on our website, and those templates are under the water system resources section. We also have some videos and guidance on how to fill that out if you need examples. Another question was to define a GRR. GRR stands for galvanized requiring replacement, and it's where a galvanized service line is or was at any time downstream of a lead service line or is currently downstream of a lead status unknown service line. If the water system's unable to demonstrate that the galvanized line was never downstream of a lead service line, they need to presume that there was an upstream lead service line. So that's how you differentiate a galvanized versus a GRR line. Inventory updates are going to be submitted to DDW on an annual basis. And your public water system ID number can be searched using the link provided by Allison in the Q&A. And yeah, those are all the frequently asked questions, and then I'll pass it over to Kanya to take a look at the unanswered questions.
Okay, we have some time to answer some questions live here. So I'll pick up the questions that we haven't answered already in the Q&A section. If you have any new questions that come in or need clarification, you can raise your hand and we can respond that way. So look at React on the bottom bar of the Zoom screen and just press the raise hand function and we'll get to you that way. So the first of the questions is, can the notification be sent as an insert in the water bill? And Wes, I'll throw that to you to answer live.
Okay, so the public notification within 30 days, it can, as long as it's within 30 days. And it only does have to go to the customers that have those lines. So I'm not sure if that's necessarily easier or however. I mean, the water system would have to look at your own operations to determine that, but sure. Because I mean, unless you're billing every other month, I mean, you have to meet that 30-day deadline.
Okay, next question. There has been confusion between staff on initial inventory inspection needs. Is the 20% interpolation only for bigger systems? What range? And if they only have 6, do all need to be physically verified by the October 16 due date?
So this is a water system with 6 connections. Is that, if I'm hearing that correctly?
That's what I understand, but please clarify, okay, Lisa, if that's not correct.
Okay. Well, I mean, with 6 connections, I mean, I can't say that you have to go and do every one of them, but An interpolation plan would be like 2. But again, we would have to know the characteristics of your water system. And I mean, we would prefer that you just, if you're able to go examine each of those 6. But I mean, interpolation is generally when you have a larger number. I mean, there's no real cutoff on that, except on the upper end. We don't like to do interpolation on anything greater than 1,500. Otherwise, it would be a more of a stratified random type thing. So, whoever asked the question, if you can unmute, we can go a little further into it if you'd like.
Hi,
Hi.
this is Lisa with Della Valley. No, we have many systems that we are working on
Mhm.
and different distribution operators who are working on each system. We're a little confused on the size. Of course, I prefer if there's only 6, then go ahead and do the 6. They wanted to know if there's a firm number range where they're allowed to do that. That's all.
No, there really isn't. But we want a minimum of 20% field investigations. Unless it's like I was talking about, if it's a track where they all have the same characteristics about the home because they were all built at the same time, built by the same builder, usually going to be using the same materials, that kind of thing. We'll consider a lower percentage of investigations for those, but if it's just overall, it's got to be a 20%.
Okay, thank you.
And we just want to know like the characteristics of the system. Make a description. The homes were built between 1905 and 1968 and consist of single family homes, blah, blah, blah. Just kind of give us a description of the water system and then say we're going to do 20%, spread about, yada, yada, yada. Just, yeah. I hope that answers that question.
Yes, it does. Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
The next question is for field verification. I'm sorry, someone may have come off on mute.
Yeah, I had a question on the owner side of the system of the survey, and we did a survey out of the meters to the owner side that's owned. It's non-lead copper, but non-lead plastic, and it's coming into the house as non-lead copper. Do we indicate non-lead other? Is there only one indication for that for the owner side of the system, or do you put both those in there?
There is only one designation. So I guess what I would say is enter the one that's at the meter. So if it's non-lead plastic at the meter,
Okay.
then if it's copper going into the home, so it changes material at some point, put that in the notes for that home,
Okay.
for those that you have it on. And then that way it's still non-lead, but like put in what's at the meter. And then if that other material, it's not common for it to change, but if it does, make a note of that in the notes.
See, I went back and did a survey of all the 37 homes up here, and the survey says, do you have non-lead plastic and non-lead copper? And it wasn't indicated going into the house or from the meter. So I don't have that information. I'll have to go back and do every one of those over again because they indicated non-lead plastic and non-lead meter or copper in their service line that is owner owned.
So your customers did their own kind of
Right.
verification.
I sent out a survey to 37 homes and
Okay.
did that survey with them, and they came back and the survey said that you had non-lead plastic and non-lead copper in their service line.
Okay. Okay, for your case, then if you have time to kind of determine what the material is in the meter, like I said, put that one as the primary and then put a note for the other. If you don't, if you're not
Okay.
able to get that information, call it non-lead other, and in the note say what you just said. And in yours, the basis for determination would be customer self-identification because you did have them do it themselves.
Correct.
Okay, so
Thank you.
your drop down would be that, and then put in the notes has both materials and kind of go with it there.
My
But it'd
other
be-
question is, why are we doing a survey if our houses were built after 1995? Isn't there some kind of form that we could use? And, you know, our system was built after 1995, our water system?
Okay, so
It
all,
seems-
all the homes were built and installed and everything after 95?
Yeah,
Oh, well, then yeah, you're just non-lead other and use the 1986 lead ban.
okay,
That's how you can do your spreadsheet.
okay, thank you.
Yeah,
So
but
we have,
but if you have that actual material, use it where you can. It's
Okay.
always best to have the actual on the spreadsheet and documented rather than just non-lead other.
Thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Question from,
Go ahead, Kanye.
hello? Yeah, James came from Byron, California, Byron United Methodist Church. I'm
Okay,
trying to locate or where would I find the PWSID number? You sent me a link, but when you go to that link, it asks you to put in the PWSID number. I don't know what that is or how to put it in there.
okay, give me a second. What is the name of your water system? Something Methodist Church?
Byron United Methodist Church. We have one well and 3 connections to a church of 2 portable classrooms. That's it.
Okay, you're up in Contra Costa County?
Yes.
Okay, your number, you ready?
Yes.
It's 0706-022.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I think I have time for maybe one more question, Tanya.
so
Um,
for,
Sorry, Wes, real quick. I think they're a transient community system, that church.
It's transient? Oh. Okay, you're right. Mr. Byron of United Methodist Church, you do not have to do this.
I don't have to do one.
You're a non-community system.
Right. It only serves the church. That's it. And we have about 25 members in the church, and that's it.
Okay, yeah, you do not have to submit an inventory.
Oh, of any kind. So I'm not going to be, the EPA is not going to knock on my door. Okay.
Not unless you change water system types between now and October.
No,
you.
we've had well water. That's all we have. And there's only, yeah.
Okay,
Well, great. You just made my day. Thank you.
sorry for wasting an hour.
Oh, okay.
okay, a last question from Phil for field verification. How exact of a date do we need? Year and approximate month and day?
Oh, the actual day you did the verification, as close to the day, if you only have a month, add that. So like we went out in April and we did a bunch of investigations, just put April of 2024. But preferably we want a month. We don't just want a year.
And we are answering the rest. I think everything else has been taken care of.
Okay.
So
Good. So we're at time. I do have to go ahead and jump off, but I will send a copy of the slides to everybody that attended. And we are coming up with a Q&A document that we answered during these meetings. And we'll put that up probably on our website along with a recording of this. And we'll email it out to all the attendees as well. Okay. So I want to thank everybody for joining. Please, please, please email us if you have questions. We are here to help you. We are here to help you in any way that we can. So any questions, let us know. And thank you again for joining and have a great day. Take care, everyone.